Gundam has got a problem. Over the course of 46 years, they have built up quite a catalog of shows, spanning over 30 series and like 10 different universes. Some kind Redditor went out of their way to create this easily digestible graphic to explain how simple everything is. To say that getting into the world of Gundam is daunting would be an understatement. The main timeline started when my parents were eating their boogers, and despite their best efforts, this sentiment has bled into the public perception of any spin-offs whose goal was to offer a more accessible entry point to the series. They needed something new, something fresh to bridge the gap to a more modern audience. Say hello to the witch from Mercury. The solution was really more simple than what they had made it out to be. Just make the main characters cute bisexual women and all of a sudden we're cooking. In reality, the Witch from Mercury does a whole bunch of things right to appeal to a whole new demographic, starting with the prologue episode. From the very beginning, the company wanted to get as many eyes as possible on Gundam Witch, uploading the prologue onto YouTube a month before episode 1. If it did well, then the hype would be palpable going into the weekly release schedule. This way everyone and their mother could watch, and oh my god, was it good. This episode was the most distilled, concentrated cup of Gundam I've ever seen. You have political intrigue, humanity's relationship with both space and technology, important characters, badass Gundam battles with epic orchestral scores, and crazy, inexplicable hair, all in a 23-minute runtime. In fact, I'd almost argue that it did too good of a job, as afterwards the show takes its time to establish the school and main cast of students when I was still riding that high from the prologue, wondering, man, when are we gonna get back to that? It eventually does get there, but the wait was excruciating, especially when we were getting drip-fed one episode a week. However, they could get away with this due to the impeccable hook along with their fresh new flavor of Gundam. School Battle Shonen was never a place I thought they'd take the series, but hey, here we are. Not only does it offer a familiar setting for those unfamiliar with Gundam, it also gives the characters a perfectly valid reason to fight each other in their gigantic death machines. Every disagreement at the school, whether it be over the last stack of pancakes or human rights, is settled via a duel. Sis, they know too much. I'm gonna kill them. Wait, I don't want to die. I challenge you to a duel. Here at school, you have to settle things through duels. Shit, alright. It offers a low-stakes environment to get to know each of these personalities, while also giving the people what they came for. Fights in anime are pretty cool. I think everybody can agree on that. Now, what if you put the people in giant robot people? With lasers. Out in space. I mean, that's objectively even cooler. These battles between students kept me tied over until they ditched this premise almost entirely and turned into full political warfare, but the transition was relatively seamless in the scope of our main character Soletta's journey, so it didn't feel in any way jarring. Soletta herself is a pretty fun character to follow, in the sense that, much like viewers new to the series, this country bumpkin has no idea what's going on when it comes to the political game she's been unknowingly drug into. It's pure vibes with this lass, and it works really well given what this show set out to do. That's not to say she's all empty calories, however. Her relationship with her family is immediately put into question, being set up perfectly by, again, the amazing prologue episode. So her identity is really up in the air for the majority of the show, driving a lot of the emotional beats. Other students established early on also have interesting motivations and connections with the greater world Gundam Witch takes place in, but I'd argue that these characters outside of Soletta expose the biggest weakness of the show. It just isn't long enough. While it gives a brief introduction to the ideas of Gundam, the relatively short runtime doesn't really allow for a more comprehensive, fleshed out narrative shown in some of its counterparts. Or rather, it doesn't allow for the exploration of this world besides the core themes relating to our main character and her journey. It establishes quite the list of characters, each with their own interests and goals, but isn't really given the opportunity to capitalize on much of it besides Soletta and her family, which kind of leaves you feeling a bit bummed out. I became captivated with this world and its inhabitants enough to be saddened at the sudden goodbye, which means that it did its job, but still. A lot of meat left on the bone. One thing that never lets me down when it comes to the Gundam series, however, is the music. Music composer Takashi Omama had me going, oh mama, whenever those stellar beats hit just right. Within the first 3 minutes of episode 1, to introduce the school, you've got da-na-na-na, Da, 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 da. Or when things get a little darker, it hits you with a little. But then it picks you right back up with the. It's often understated how impactful a soundtrack can be, and the sense of triumphantness in those big moments is second to none. There's something primal about crazy epic soundtracks mixed with badass character developments, making Gundam Witch peak so hard. All shows, stories, etc. are reliant on some sort of audience payoff. If I'm gonna sit through two girls talking about their tomatoes for 6 episodes, I damn well better get some sort of reward. And while it started off a bit slow, once it kicks into second gear, there's no looking back until the credits roll. One minor nitpick is that during space fights, there can be so many lights and things flying around the screen seemingly at random that it can be kinda tough to even understand what the hell is happening. The music is telling me something awesome is going on, but my eyes aren't registering the same message. I get using blurry movement is a trick often used to establish speed and the intensity of a battle, but it can become taxing on the audience to follow along, trying not to lose it like the correct cup at baseball games. Making things seem weighty and impactful while also maintaining comprehensibility of a scene is a sign of excellent action choreography, a bar that certain scenes here fail to reach. Still, when Gundam Witch turns the permet score up to 100, it is really something special. Some last notes: I like how the characters just kind of float around in space. Something satisfying about it. Choo-choo and her choo-choos. God, their hair is so hilarious. The irony of corrupt political dealings with vile implications between characters that are so anime. Like, only in Gundam can you have a fallen villain mourning the unjust death of a child, and the only thing I'm thinking of is why does this guy's hair look like a purple Pikmin? But putting my commentary aside, while it may fail to reach what I perceive as its monstrous potential as a result of a brief runtime, I think that Gundam Witch will be considered a resounding success. Not only were they able to create a show that was able to tap into a pool of viewers that, quite frankly, would have never given Gundam the time of day beforehand, but they also were able to weave in many of the core themes and ideas present in the rest of their catalog, providing an easier transition into those entries. Having your product reach a wider audience is almost never a bad thing in my eyes. The only way that things can go sideways is when the newer identity is so different that it alienates those who were around beforehand. Gundam Witch was cleverly able to weave both old and new in a way that I firmly believe it has a little something for everybody. Instead of being relegated to just another similar feeling spinoff, I firmly believe the overwhelming success of Gundam Witch opens up a whole new branch of creative freedoms for Studio Sunrise, and because of that, I can't wait to see what they do next. And based off of Gundam G-Cux on the horizon, they have full intentions to do so. Now I want to play Pikmin.